Hi, it's Dorothy Guining with Scrapbooking Quebec, and today I'm here for the Scrapbook Nerd Online shop. The design team was given the word adventure as a prompt this week, so what I'm going to do is document this photo of me sitting on Rastafire's doorstep in the mountains in Jamaica. Here's what I'm going to be using. I have material from the Simple Stories Vintage Coastal Collection. It's absolutely gorgeous. And those alphas are from Heidi Swapp. I'm going to list all the products I'm using in the information box below, as well as a link to the Scrapbook Nerd Online shop. I did very little preparation in advance. Honestly, this page practically makes itself. Honestly, this material is fantastic. So I'm just showing you the photo there. Believe me, it was an adventure. Here are the 3 printed papers I'm going to be using. That peachy colored one there, that is part of the solids pack that is coordinating with this collection. I have 2 sticker sheets. The one underneath comes with the collection, and this one, banners, is sold separately. It's really cool. I'm using one of them. I backed it in cardstock and already added foam adhesive. That's some cheesecloth. That simply came from the dollar store. I'll be using that as well. And I took the ephemera pack, which is flower bits and pieces, and I separated the leaves and trees from the flowers, and there's also a little pile of pineapples. I thought it would make it easier when I was creating layers and embellishment clusters later on. The first thing I'm going to do is create a layered photo mat. So I'm going to take this solid paper here and cut it down at 1/4 inch larger than my photo. First I thought I was going to go with the pale side, but I do end up going with that orangey coral side, and I do like that because it does stand out against that printed paper. I almost never use printed paper as a background, so anyway, this is a bit different for me. These other 2 papers, I'm cutting them down, and basically what I want to create here is a staggered layered photo mat. I am putting measurements for this photo mat on the screen if you want to follow along what I'm doing. And I'm going to adhere the bottom 2 layers together, but I'm going to keep them separate at this point from the photo because I do want to play around with placement as well as layers. So there is going to be another layer that goes in between the paper and the photo, and that's going to be this cheesecloth here. So basically I cut myself off a piece and I'm just kind of unwinding it, and part of it is going to go underneath the photo here and on top of that layered mat, and I'm just adhering it with a bit of glue dots. I have done this in the past where I've actually inked up the cheesecloth as well, and that looks nice too, but I do like the white here, so I'm leaving it as is. I'd also like to point out that a bit later on, I'm going to come in and add a piece of cardstock behind this photo. You're not going to see it, but the photo mat, that coral colored photo mat, is paperweight, and with all the layers I'm worried that with time that photo will buckle, so I end up going in a bit later on. You'll see that. As you can see, I plan to put that banner in the top left hand corner again with a bit of that cheesecloth, and now what you see me doing is playing around with ephemera. So basically I'm creating a cluster that's going to kind of wrap around that photo on the right. And that's why I didn't want to adhere the photo right away, because I don't know how much room that's going to take. I'm also adding a few pieces of ephemera up by that banner in the top left hand corner, but you're also going to notice that towards the end of this video, or at the end of this video, I remove those palm trees from the top left hand corner, and I'll talk a bit about that later on. So now that I know how much room the ephemera is going to take on the right hand side, I feel confident enough to adhere my photo to the page, and I'm going to go in now and just tuck in those pieces where I had placed them before. You'll notice that when I'm tucking them in, some of them are going under the cheesecloth, some of them are going between the cheesecloth and the photo, and so on and so forth. Basically, I'm working with the layers here, and that all adds texture to the page. It's just a great way to add texture. So I stick all of this down. I end up changing it a little bit later on. That's all part of the process. And now what I'm going to do is take that small flower and just put a piece of cardstock behind it so that I can adhere it with foam adhesive. I just want it to be a little bit more sturdy, and it's actually at this point when I decide to go remove my photo and add some cardstock behind it. It's just, the cheesecloth doesn't really add a whole lot of bulk, but it does add a bit of bulk, and I don't want my photos with time to bend or anything like that. I'm used to backing my photos with cardstock, so I didn't really think of it beforehand. Now what I'm going to do is start working in the top left-hand corner once I get that flower down. And I will adhere it with the cheesecloth, with the border, and I do like that. There's Chester coming for a little visit, and he's trying to eat that cheesecloth. I also am going to put in those palm trees there, but you're going to notice that at the very end of this video, they are gone. And the reason why I removed them, you'll see them in a minute, and maybe you'll understand. I found that the cluster up top was just becoming too big, and it was kind of competing with the one in the bottom right. When I create embellishment clusters, I do like to have one that is bigger than the other, and I felt those two were almost, not quite, but almost identical. Also, I felt that those palm trees were kind of taking away from the actual banner, which is super cute, so I didn't want to do that either. But like I said, it does stay there for a while, and it's just throughout the process that I realize I want to remove it. So now I'm coming in with my title, and those are those alphas from Heidi Swapp, and I have them on wax paper, and I played around with placement a bit, and I do decide that I want it to go in the top right hand corner, but I do need a little journaling spot. So on that sticker sheet there was a frame, and what I'm going to do is back that frame with a little piece of grid paper, and I play around with placement with that, and that actually ends up over on the right hand side in that cluster. So in order to fit it there, I end up removing one of the pieces. At this point, I don't think I'm actually going to use it, but I end up, you're going to see at the very end as well, that that piece that you see on the left, on the right, does end up making it back into the cluster. Now I'm just going to adhere that title down in the top. I had to add a bit of adhesive to these letters. I absolutely love the color. I love the shape, but they are chipboard, and it does help to add a little bit extra adhesive. So I'm having a look at the page. I'm poking away at that journaling box. I do my journaling a little bit later on, and I go into the sticker sheet and I find a few more little pieces. So I have that little lizard there at the bottom right. I put the flamingo in the top left, and you're going to see in just a moment, there you have it, my final page. Those palm trees are gone. Like I said, already there's a lot going on this paper without anything added to it. I find it totally beautiful, but I did want to add a bit of dimension. So the cheesecloth certainly helped. Adding the ephemera helped, and a bit of foam adhesive for a few of the pieces. But I didn't want that cluster in the top left competing with the cluster in the bottom right. So there are some close-ups. You can see how the cheesecloth looks. You can kind of get a good idea of how much dimension it adds. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the Scrapbook Nerd YouTube channel, as well as my channel, Scrapbooking Quebec. Also, make sure you check out the Scrapbook Nerd Online shop. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.